Hi, I'm Chris Good, and this is a video on how to use the Scantron machine. So, the instructions for using the Scantron machine are located right here in the room where the Scantron machine is kept. It even has a map of where we're actually at. You'll need to get the password from the wonderful folks at the front desk on the 11th floor of Urban Life, and you simply log in, not with your user ID and password, but with the ID PSY Workroom, PSY Workroom, and the password you get from the front desk, which is now and wait for this to log in. While the computer is logging itself in, you should be preparing your key. And if you look here, I've filled in all of the correct answers on my key. I have 50 questions on this one. And there's a couple other things you need to do. If you only have one key, you have to fill in the scoring and printing options. Don't check rescore unless you're scoring it a second time. Don't check multiple answer scoring unless a particular question requires the student to darken in more than one circle. I really don't recommend putting those on your tests. Many students don't like that, and sometimes it's very confusing. The other thing you need to choose is, what do you want the Scantron printer to print on each student's test form? You could just have the total correct answers. You could have it mark an X next to questions they got wrong. Or you could have it print the correct answer next to questions that they got wrong. I like to go ahead and give students the correct answer. The other thing you need to do, if you have one key, is to fill in the number of keys, sorry, not the number of keys, but the item count. With the leading 0 if you have fewer than 100. So I have 50, so it's 0, 5, 0, and you do have to darken in those bubbles with a number 2 pencil. If you have multiple keys, then you need to come up here to the upper left-hand corner and fill in which key you have, and then down here indicate how many keys there are, either 2, 3, or 4, with 4 being the maximum. Alright, so the computer's booted up now, and we're going to start the program that's Remark Classic OMR 4. And once that starts, you'll be able to feed in your keys your key and the tests into the Scantron machine after you've chosen the correct test form in the computer program, in the Remark Classic OMR program. Alright. You need to open the form template, that's step 1. So you click up here. Most of the stuff that you need to do in this program is in the upper left-hand corner. Open form template. It actually has the most recent templates that were used, and the one that we have at the front desk is form 106173. When you click on that, it will go to the next option. We're going to choose again in the upper left-hand corner, the first one, click Read Wizard, and then simply click Read. The computer should be all set up to talk to the Scantron machine correctly. Once you press Read, you'll get a little splash menu here for instructions, and then you click OK, and now it's time to interact with the Scantron machine itself. This is the screen that you should be seeing. It should say Perform Test Scoring, No or Yes. It may, if the last person to use it didn't clear out the Scantron machine, ask you for another score form. I'll show you what that screen looks like when we get to the end. If it says that, go ahead and press Quit. It'll tell you it'll get rid of all of your data, and you say, well, that's okay, just go ahead and yes. You want to get to this screen that says Perform Test Scoring. And now it's time to load the machine. To do that, simply insert your tests there, press this down, make sure that they're under this little rubber wheel, and all of the forms have to go under a rubber wheel that you can feel with your finger down there. Once it's in there, you can press yes. And we're going to hope that these Scantron forms go all the way through, and it just scans each one of them. We may get an error where it gets stuck halfway through and says that multiple sheets were fed even though only one sheet is in there. If that happens, simply quit the program, unplug the Scantron machine, and plug it back in. Wait for it to reboot. You may actually have to log out and reboot the computer after that, but that's really the way to fix that multiple sheets fed error. Let's hope we don't get it this time. Oh, we did! But what a great opportunity. I can show you how it works. So we're going to unplug the power cable going into the back of the Scantron machine after we take this key out. You'll get an error message here on the computer perhaps that says that the operation cannot be completed. You can just go ahead and click OK, right? And that there's an error where it can't talk to the machine and the scan session is ended. Go ahead and press OK. We're actually going to close out the program and then plug the power cord back into the Scantron machine, and it should boot right up again. It'll say initializing, right? And we're going to restart the Remark Classic OMR software, open form template, form 106173, read wizard, read, and OK. Reload your key and your score sheets and press yes. Alright, now it looks like it's going through okay. I only have a couple of sample tests in here that are made up student names, and you'll see that the key was read and the ID was blank, and the key ID is blank because we only have one test form. If you have multiple forms, it'll tell you which key it was, A or B or C or D, etc. ID number was blank on the key, and these are the student ID numbers right here. We're done scanning the forms, and you can bring this operation to a close by either pressing this end read operation button, or over here on the Scantron machine, if you take a look here, it says feed answer or results sheet. If you come in here and before you start scanning it says this, go ahead and press quit. And then yes, even though it says results will be lost, they won't be because they're saved on the computer. This is the screen that you want to see before you start scanning, just like I said before, perform test scoring. The computer will alert you the scan session is ended, and then you simply press OK. Now it's time to grade the forms. Well, there we go. Now it's time to grade the forms. So click on Easy Grade. Easy Grade brings up a list of reports that you can run on the data that you just scanned into the machine. Again, in the upper left-hand corner, all you need to do is click on Display Reports, and there's two reports that are really handy. One is the Student Statistics Report. That gives all the students' grades. The other one is down here, the Condensed Test Report. That gives you information about the test itself. So let's click on Student Statistics Report, and this just shows you the grades for each one of the three students. They didn't do too well, but remember, these are just sample data, so that's quite all right. You can export this report as an Excel file and save it to the desktop so that you can enter your grades online a little bit later on. So we've saved that to the desktop. I'm just going to show you that we can open this document in Excel and show you what that looks like. There we go. So this is sorted by student ID. You can look at another video to find out how to merge this document with a class roster, and I'll link out to that video at the end of this one. The other report that you might consider doing in Easy Grade is report number 106. That's the Condensed Test Report. And what this does is for every question, sorry, let me zoom in, it shows you the percentage of students who got it correct, right? What the distractors were, what the non-distractors were, if there were any, and then it breaks it down into group responses. It tells you the total number of students who answered the question correctly. It tells you the percentage of students in the upper quartile of how they did on this test. So students who did really well on this test, what percentage of them answered it correctly, and it tells you the percentage of students in the lowest quartile who answered the question correctly. It then does a point-by-serial correlation using whether they answered this question or not correctly as a predictor of their final score on the test. And that can help you identify questions that are really good and maybe not so good questions as well. So that's how to use the Scantron machine. The two most common problems you can run into are multiple sheets fed and not seeing this message on the screen when you start scanning your forms in. Look for another video on how to merge those two spreadsheets together the output from the Scantron and your class roster, and I'll see you next time.